So discernment, huh? Yeah, discernment is a good thing, and more of it is always good. But singing the praises of people who say Hitler is right and this type of thing, is that discernment? That doesn't strike me as discernment. It strikes me as the opposite. You know, and then when you have them on your channel and all your followers are exposed to somebody like that, you know, you're promoting them. You know what I mean? So, not sure that's being the most discerning by doing so. Yeah, I mean, you made a lot of points in your video. I wish I could go point by point. I have a screen recorder, but it takes a little while. I hope you're doing all right, or you're doing better. You talked a little bit about your health problems. I mean, that sucks. But you know, this all started because Kyle and I were talking about how we had such a horrible experience with these modern day Nazis, whatever you want to call them, anti-Semites. And your objection was that we're opposed to such people because then somehow the left wins, I guess. And I just fail to see how this is the case. And it just seems rather amazing that you would take such issue with something. And then you have all these political theories on why we shouldn't do that. I mean, I don't know what your end result is, you know, like, should the Republican Party not kick out deranged anti-Semites like David Duke or what I always forget his name, David Duke, the like crazy Nazi guy who ran for Senate against Dianne Feinstein, who said that we should nuke Israel. The fuck is his name? Patrick Little and other associated psychos. Like, should the Republican Party not kick those people out because then the left wins? Then they're admitting that such people are horrible? Or should they just say they're not any worse than the commies? I mean, there are a lot of Republicans that say, hey, the commies killed 100 million. And while the Nazis are still bad, they only killed, you know, less because they had the opportunity to kill less or whatever it is. But they say, yeah, the commies are the worst because they killed the most. Maybe that's just a political talking point, but people say it. I don't think it matters that much at the end of the day. You know, it's just the whole Nazi thing is overplayed anyway. Like, everyone's a fucking Nazi. The president's a Nazi. So, I'm not sure how much effect it actually has. Who knows? But you have these, like, political theories that you sort of feel are, like, the laws of the universe. Leo Strauss, the brother of Levi Strauss, who says, he might be a really smart guy and make a lot of good points, but because fascist is more progressive, you can't associate it with the right because then it's self-defeating. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm not sure how important or unimportant that is. But really, the simplistic thing is, like, there's a group of people, Melchy amongst them, that are trying to revive these old, socially taboo, pretty ugly ideas and theories. You know, they want to make anti-Semitism great again. And people like Kyle and I, and probably like most people with any common decency, are against them. It's really that simple, you know. And it's like, what's so horrible in opposing these people? Melchy was so insane in Luke Ford's chat. He had to actually give him, he talked about this in this video that you responded to. He had to give him several lectures on proper etiquette in his chat. Do you know how fucking crazy that is? Do you know how many insane people have been through that show and are a part of that show? And he has to single Melchy out. Like, this is the person you're defending and championing. So again, discernment. Um, yeah, he would just say the most insane shit. And he created a lot of enemies, opponents, or whatever. So I don't find it that surprising that he doesn't feel very comfortable talking about whatever it is on YouTube. Like comparing Jews to termites that you have to spray for. Saying that people should wear stars. Jews should wear stars. Communists should wear stars. No, he said Jews and atheists should wear stars. So I would have to wear 2 stars because I'm agnostic, basically. I'd have to wear 2 stars, or maybe just the Jewish star would be enough, because that's, you can't get more evil than the ultimate evil. But it sounds like Luke was exerting more discernment and discretion than you, because he he lectured Melchy. I mean, look, you lectured Melchy too about some of his crazy beliefs, but you're also championing him and saying he's a great guy and I should talk to him and all this. Like, I did talk to him, and he seems look, there's a lot of people that seem very coherent and logical when you talk to him. I mean, in some ways he is. In some ways, I think he's whacked out in the fucking brain. You know what I mean? So I don't really care. You can live stream with him. You could write a postcard. You could do a Skype, whatever. But this whole exchange started because you don't like us not liking Nazi associates. It's not even Nazi associated people. It's just people that are trying to legitimize and make anti-Semitism great again. And yeah, no one's building Auschwitz. But a return of these attitudes would have a real, it would affect the well-being of a lot of people. You know what I mean? I mean, you live in France, and probably hundreds of thousands of Jews have left France in the past couple decades. Would you call them a bunch of whiny bitches? Like, have they not had a pretty miserable experience because of the anti-Semitism there? Are they just being crybaby victims, or is it real? I mean, they didn't build Auschwitz again there. It's the social norms that are coming mostly from the militant Islamists, but probably others too. The Islamists took a lot of the ideas that the European anti-Semites created and championed, so it all kind of flows together. But whatever, if you want to talk to him, you think he's a great guy, like, I don't really give a shit at the end of the day. But again, if discernment is good, that doesn't sound very discerning to me. Kyle talks about rule by the high IQ. And again, I don't agree with everything Kyle says. I like listening to him on that show. He says the high IQ, the able, and maybe the rich, the elites, should rule. So how is that fascistic? Like, that's American history. FDR, JFK, Washington, these were all elite families that built coalitions, and they had resources, both monetary and other, and that's how they were able to build a coalition, actually get on the platform, and come into power. I don't think Kyle's saying anything inconsistent. He's not saying we need to have a IQ commission and the high IQ should rule with an iron fist. Like, I never heard anything about that. Again, people are just overreacting to what he says because, it's a Jew saying it, and, whatever. Yeah, Melchy never said, let's rebuild Auschwitz. And if he did say that explicitly, you would say, oh, he's just trolling. He had a bad day. Kyle got to him, and he posted that. So, like, stop whining. It's whatever. You want to talk to Melchy, talk to Melchy. You know. Yeah, regarding Israel, it's like you watch a video, you have an opinion that differs from somebody, and you say, I know the real truth here, but it's not as clear cut as you make it sound. And the main point I was making, we were talking about people being ashamed of their history's past and being guilt-ridden over it. Some nations have histories that are worse than others. And I pretty much agreed to everything you said about Israel and the founding of the country, and how a lot of it's bullshit and lied about the Nakba and the Jewish Nakba, which isn't talked about nearly as much. But still, there wasn't just some mass communication that the Egyptians sent out to the Palestinian villages and they were like, oh, okay, let's get our stuff, and left. I mean, they left because it was a war zone. There were atrocities committed, like at Ramle, Ramle, and Deir Yassin. Villages were, there was fighting going on in the villages, and some villagers were executed, and there was a lot of fear, so people packed up and left. And in some cases, they were encouraged or forced to leave. Again, I'm sure the Israelis had good reason for doing it. It was a war. These were villages close to roads and posed a threat. There were attacks going on. So yeah, it isn't clear cut. But at the same time, atrocities were committed. Or they committed atrocities. Or murdered innocents, like every goddamn country. So that was the point. Like, yes, Israel has sinned. It doesn't delegitimize their country. You shouldn't have to live in shame perpetually. You just explain it and say, whatever. Come to terms with it. Say we regret it. The United States has a much more sordid history when it comes to that sort of thing. So it's not some ridiculous thing to say Israel has committed atrocities. Some people might call it small-scale ethnic cleansing, the kicking out of villagers and not letting them back in, resettling those villages with Israelis. But look, we're talking about the Middle East here, okay, where the strong survive and the weak are crushed. So I don't care about it that much. I was just saying, like, let's not say Israel has never done anything wrong or hasn't committed atrocities, just like every other country, and not nearly as much as the United States has. That doesn't mean we take the knee perpetually and perpetually apologize. It doesn't mean this July 4th we don't be proud of our country. But still, the proud parts and the atrocities are part of the same history, Like every country, Germany included. Now, they have kind of a more sordid history, but, whatever. They exist as a country because Germany's a pretty strong country, even though they lost a couple wars. There's countries and people that don't exist, so just be happy that you're strong enough to exist as a country. And that's a luxury in and of itself. I don't know. It's like, I've enjoyed hearing your views that you hold so dear. I like your videos. I'll watch more of them because there's so many of them, so it takes a little while. I wish I could respond to your points point by point, but it's like, I'm just not going to see you eye to eye in this Melchy thing, or see people that express views like him as legitimate, so it is what it is. But like I'm saying, there's a group of people that's varied, very varied, but they have this thing where they want to legitimize anti-Jewish sentiments through the bullshit they spew. And yeah, it's pretty much all lies and bullshit, but it's a pretty nefarious thing. And yeah, it does have an impact on people, even if it falls short of building Auschwitz. For Jews and for the people that hold these beliefs, they definitely don't appear to be healthy people. It's like this self-victimization thing, It's like, I'm a victim of the Jews and I'm a prisoner in my own country. Just really pathetic shit. And I've seen the way it affects people. The girl Ash All Day, she was like a conservative normie, and she wasn't even religious. She was just getting into the Bible. And I don't know who exactly did it to her. I think it was a combination of like Brundlefly and Melchy, who are both kind of like the ringleaders of that group or whatever. Now she's constantly talking about the protocols of the Elders of Zion, culture of critique, the fucking bullshit talking points that all these people spew. She's constantly raging about the Jews and the commies. Well, they're one and the same, right? So it has a negative effect on people. Mostly the people that believe the bullshit. And that's why I'm against it, and feel like you shouldn't sing the praises of somebody like Melchy, who has brainwashed, if you want to call it that, people in this manner. And I think I addressed I'm disturbed by people that were led down the wrong path through Luke Ford. But I only started watching him in like November of 2018, would it be? 2017? I don't know. November of 2018, I think it is. And he didn't say anything remotely as crazy as the shit Melchy says. Maybe earlier when Melchy was on the scene, he put some ideas out here that affected people. Maybe. Well, I can't really judge it because I wasn't there, so it's not really fair. But if he did moderate his message and was arguing the contrary, So, sorry, this video is kind of boring. I didn't have talking points in front of me. Maybe I can make a better one if I get around to it. Anyway, whatever. Everyone have a good day.